Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys for Sunday, May 20th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Glad to be with you as always, joined by Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis as we break down Winnipeg and Vegas game number 5 with the Winnipeg Jets here in the Great White North, the Bell MTS Center this afternoon, facing elimination, backs against the wall. Bring out all the cliches you want. The bottom line is Winnipeg needs a win today if they're going to extend their season. Right now, Winnipeg laying minus 150 to minus 155 here in game number 5. The total is pretty much 6 across the board. 6 shaded to the under at minus 130. If you like the over, you can get plus 110 on that. So make sure you shop around, and SBRodds.com is the place you want to go for that. There is one lone wolf 5.5 out there at Heritage Sports. So if you like the over, that is where you want to go to bet it. Heritage Sports has that 5.5. So, to be honest with you, I'm putting the word ice in the ice guys right now. I've stunk up the joint these last 2 days. To be quite honest with you, we had Winnipeg in the over in game 4 of this series. 0-2 there. We took a shot with Washington plus 150 yesterday in game number 5 against Tampa. Loser there. So we're in a situation here where, and this is what I do when I start to sense things running a little cold, starting to go downhill a little bit with my own personal betting in a particular sport, and I feel that way these last couple of days with these 2 series, I'm pulling back. So I hate to do that. I hate to say pass for any game, especially on this show. I like to give out an opinion that our viewers and listeners can use and maybe profit from. But to be honest with you, I'm not involved in this game, quite honestly. Maybe I'll get involved in the goal scorer props, and actually I'm going to look those up while Alex and Andrew discuss this game, because I might get involved. Just a small little recreational sprinkles on some goal scorers props, because we have actually done, that's been the shining light, the beacon of ray of hope here for me in these conference finals, is that I've done pretty decently with the goal scoring props here in some of these games throughout the conference finals. But side and total wise, we're in that kind of rut right now personally where, you can't pick a side or total winner right now if you give me the final score on the front page of the newspaper. I mean, that's the way it is right now. It's still screw it up. So right now it's a situation where we're going to sit back. My personal analysis on this game is that I think push comes to shove, Winnipeg's got a possibility to extend this series, but to me, it's hard to get your head around minus 150 when the Vegas Golden Knights have had clearly the superior goaltending in this series with Marc-Andre Fleury. Connor Hellebuyck has got to put his stamp on this series today with his best performance. He's got to raise his game, not just one, maybe a couple of levels with his team facing elimination here. And it's quite simple for the Winnipeg Jets. You're in a situation now where you can't make these critical mistakes. All right, it's fine and dandy to say we played well enough to win the last 2 games, and you did territorially, shots on goal, especially in the third period. I understand that. But you're not playing well enough in certain areas. What I mean in those certain areas is those turnovers that I've harped on. And if you watch game 4, it was like a tape in the VCR being rewound to show you game 3 all over again. That's basically what game 4 was. And how about momentum swings? Winnipeg, I don't know if it's just we breathe, we take it, we exhale, we have a sigh of relief, we let up a little bit, we feel a little satisfied after we score a goal. You cannot let Vegas get right back and score a minute later. That has been a complete and utter bugaboo throughout this series for the Winnipeg Jets. Momentum gone in the blink of an eye, because after they tie the game, Vegas comes right back down and scores. That happened to them twice in the 2 games in Vegas. So that can't happen. You got to follow up a goal scoring shift with another good shift. Doesn't mean you have to score again, obviously, but you cannot let that momentum slip away that quickly after you tie a hockey game. The turnovers, as I mentioned, at the opposing blue line, the turnovers in the neutral zone that have resulted in Vegas transition rush opportunities and scoring chances the other way, and ultimately goals. That's another thing Winnipeg has to clean up. And they got to get secondary offense. This can't always be Mark Scheifele's show night in and night out. Where's Patrick Laine? You got to start burying some of these great chances you're getting. Nikolai Ehlers has to step up. Where's Brian Little been in this series? Even Blake Wheeler, the captain, who's been responsible, both ends of the ice. He's very good defensively, but, it's time we need him to dent the score sheet a little bit here for the Winnipeg Jets if they're going to extend the series. So these are the guys I'm calling upon here for the Winnipeg Jets today, this afternoon at home. The fans going nuts, trying to get them back in the series. These are all the guys that are going to have to step up for them if they're going to extend this series. Totals wise, if Winnipeg's going to win this game, it's probably going to have to be a game that gets up and over the total. But Right now, there is a definite psychological block right now that Marc-Andre Fleury has on this Winnipeg team, and it's in their heads right now, I think, a little bit with just how well he's playing, and I've got to see signs of them breaking that little, not hex that he's got on them, but he's clearly, he's making them clutch a little bit, double clutch, try to be too fine with their shots. And when a goalie's playing this well, players tend to get too cute, tense up on their stick, look for that perfect shot, and then it's even harder at that point to beat a goalie that's locked in when you're trying to be just too fine with your release and too fine with your shot. So I think that is something Winnipeg's just got to say to hell with it. Fire the puck at all areas in the offensive zone, throw pucks at the net. Who the hell cares if it's even a perfect shot? Get traffic, get rebounds. That's the way you're going to have to score goals against this guy when he's playing as well as he is right now. So unfortunately, guys, it's going to have to be an El Paso for me, not the tacos. I'm talking about El Paso, Texas. I'm talking about no side or total wager for me here with this game, but I'll see if I can scrap together some goal scorer recommendations from a props perspective before we end the show. Let's get to Alex. Winnipeg, Vegas, Game 5, Jets facing elimination. What, from a betting standpoint, if anything, Alex, are you interested in here in this afternoon game?
Well, I'm jumping in on this today, but there's nothing wrong, like I said, with passing. If you don't have a feel for it, we've only got 4 teams left that we're working with. I mentioned on Twitter about how every year I hate the conference finals from a betting perspective in either the NBA or NHL because we don't have the different teams, different things to look at. Where if we don't have a feel on matchup, then we can go somewhere else. Well, there's only 2 places to run, and these have been 2 hard matchups to really break down. But today, I like the Vegas Golden Knights to wrap things up. I'm stunned that we've seen money come in on Winnipeg early. This line dropped down. I actually got a bad number at plus 115 with Vegas, and now seeing it back up plus $1.25, $1.30. So there's now some better value on Vegas. Like I said, the mental aspect, Winnipeg looks mentally beaten and broken. They were frustrated. They were taking a lot of crazy penalties after, like I said, letting up goals early, then tying the game up, wanting to give the lead right back seconds later. That's demoralizing for a team in any point of the year, but especially when you're trying to advance in a series and you're on the road. So even with them being home, I still don't think it's going to be enough to get them mentally focused enough for this Vegas team, just absolutely on fire. But as far as you said, with looking at things like goal scoring options, derivatives, different things of that nature, I've been saying it since the last month of the regular season. That's the way to attack the in portion of the NHL schedule into the playoffs. And there's one prop that I just looked up earlier. Marc-Andre Fleury, in his last 3 games, he's made 30 saves, 35 saves, 33 saves, and 30 saves. At BetOnline, you can find over 31.5 saves at plus 100. I'm pretty sure even if he gets bombarded with shots and a bunch of them go in, he still will more than likely make 32, 33 saves. I mean, he's been absolutely electric in the series. So like I said, little things like that you can kind of shop around and look for. You don't have to just jump in on the game side or total in a regular fashion.
That's a great prop. Wow, that's fantastic, Alex. Great find on that. What is that? Marc-Andre Fleury over 31.5 saves. That's I'm going to bet that. That sounds like a really good one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Winnipeg's had no problems with shots, generating shots. They had, 38, 37 shots, something like that, the last game. And even before that in Vegas, they did. So they've had high 30s in shots. And you got to think that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to have a decent chance to be busy again today. Yeah. Winnipeg's in a no tomorrow type of situation here. So they're going to have to fire everything they can at Marc-Andre Fleury and at the Vegas net. So he might be busy. That's a prop worth looking at. I totally agree with that. That Marc-Andre Fleury over saves sounds like something might be worth a sprinkle on. Again, props, good thing to look at. A lot of props at Bet365, BetOnline, even Pinnacle, among other places, starting to post these game props for each conference finals matchup. So definitely things that are worth checking out when sometimes the side and total are priced in a spot where it's very tough to beat and doesn't give you a ton of value. So Andrew, what say you about Winnipeg, Vegas this afternoon?
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I think that's a really, really good point. That's a great prop there, Alex. I can't believe you found that. And that's a great point. Alex talking about how it's okay for Ian to pass and look at stuff like that. There's only so many games. There's only so many teams. We're in the conference final. I mean, even though this is what we do every day and we break down games so many times a week together collectively, but I think that it's always important for us to realize that we can't always find that perfect game. And as the ambulance is going right behind me here. Hopefully that's not too loud on you guys. They're coming for me. But anyway, I'm looking for.
You know what that is? You know what that is, Andrew? They're rushing my hockey playoff betting bankroll to the emergency. It's about to die. Yeah, it's about to be gone. Yeah.
But you know what? I think I talked about this a lot starting the playoffs, guys, and I kind of shut up about it throughout the last couple episodes of the Ice Guys. But it really does prove and really does speak to this series that, you know, you can look at a team throughout the regular season. You can look at the talent level. You can look at what they have to offer. But to be quite honest, they play 82 games. But once you get to the playoffs, it's all thrown out the window. I mean, look at the LA Kings when they were an 8 seed several years ago. I mean, it does not matter who you are or what you've been doing. Once you get to the playoffs, you can create an absolutely new name for yourself. And, you know, this Vegas team did a great job of stealing a game in Winnipeg. And then, of course, as we all, you know, kind of figured, but I figured that Winnipeg would have a little better performance in Vegas. They took care of business at home. I mean, they are a different team at home. I don't care if it's the atmosphere, if it's the shenanigans that goes on before the game. These guys feel comfortable there. I've never seen a team look so comfortable and play so much sharper at home, and it's very impressive. I mean, looking back to it, I was looking back earlier yesterday about all the players, which teams, you know, had players that they were preventing from going to the Knights or getting taken from, and I was looking at it, I was like, oh my God, man, some of these guys that you wouldn't even think were that great of players or all-stars last year or the year before that, and all of a sudden they're coming into their own. I mean, and also we don't even know who's gonna, if the Vegas ends up winning the cup, we don't even know who's gonna carry it, who's gonna be the first one to grab it. But I'd have to say it has to be Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, he has been an absolute brick wall. No matter what, no matter which player is having a great game or stepping things up for this Vegas team, we got to get our hats off to Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, that's probably the play of the day that Alex shouted out. I mean, Winnipeg is going to be firing shots left and right. I mean, it's like Ian mentioned, this team has to stop trying to get that perfect shot. I mean, I've seen that they've been kind of cutting back on that and getting a little bit more opportunities and just trying to put things on net. They got to get traffic. They got to have quick shifts. They got to stop holding onto the puck too long. They got to start pulling the trigger a little bit more. All those guys, even on the power play, they're passing it. All of a sudden, that's a minute gone in their power play. I mean, that's unacceptable. But again, like I said, you look at these guys during the regular season, this Winnipeg team, and we all talked about the depth that they have, how you can count on anyone any given night, lighting the lamp for them. And all of a sudden, it's like if Mark Scheifele's not having a great game, even Line A, he's not really been completely that guy we want him to be throughout this entire playoffs. We got Kyle Connor now playing on the first line. These guys have to step up. We got to have that secondary scoring, the guys that we aren't used to scoring. Because you know what? Scheifele will be there tonight. I think Wheeler will be there tonight. It's the guys like Little, or the guys like Line A and stuff like that really have to step up. They really have to realize this is a win or go home. I mean, I thought they played with desperation last game, guys, and that wasn't enough. And that's why I can back up Alex's point with taking the Vegas Golden Knights to wrap things up tonight. But like Ian mentioned, guys, with that price, I can't really pull a trigger on the Jets. What have they proven to me that would make me want to take them on that price? Are some people out there really going to only take the Jets because it's an elimination game? I mean, based off what we saw the past 2 games at that price we're getting, I mean, that's such a trap price that the bookmakers are giving us. So looking at stuff like what Alex mentioned and player props like Ian mentioned is the way to go. I go a lot smaller on these plays that I'm about to mention, but I've mentioned this a couple times on the show before, and it's an elimination game, guys. I mean, it's not a very good price whatsoever, but at 5 dimes, you can get the third period total over 1.5 at -175. I know that is very steep price. It's very, very, very low, but I mean, it's an elimination game. It's going to be the third period. There's probably going to be an empty netter. If not, it's going to be a very close game. There's going to be goals in the third period. I say this game will be a kind of a slower starting game. There's going to be a lot of tension. There's going to be a lot of turnovers, a lot of neutral zone time, and I think that this game is going to very much so open up. That line of a 6, that the total of a 6 really does scare me, so I'm staying off the total. I'm staying off the side, and I'm looking at probably some in-game action or betting the totals in the periods because that price is just goddamn unacceptable for me with Winnipeg. They have not shown me a thing. That's the thing. We have to adjust every single game, right? If we looked at these 2 teams, I mean, like Ian mentioned, we can come on here every day and say the same things that we think about these two teams and introduce this game, but we have to react to what we're seeing each game. And right now, this Vegas team has control of this series. They are in the heads mentally of this Winnipeg Jets team. The elephant in the room is that Marc-Andre Fleury is out goaltending Hellebuyck, and by a mile. You know, I don't care if it's a 1 goal, they win by 1 goal, they win by a few goals. It doesn't matter because that brick wall of Marc-Andre Fleury is making the saves when he has to make them. So, yeah, as far as the side goes, total, it's a pass for me. I do want to lean the over, but I mean, Hellebuyck has to have the biggest game of his life tonight, and Marc-Andre Fleury has been playing absolutely out of his mind. But realistically, I can't see Winnipeg winning this low-scoring game. They have to kind of just have that amazing start. I would maybe even look at Winnipeg first period money line, actually. I'm not sure if you guys have seen a price on that. I'll look it up after I toss it back to you guys. But I think Winnipeg will have to have that good start, just like how when Vegas came home a couple minutes into the game, when they were in their first game at home in this series, they lit the lamp. So maybe a Winnipeg first period money line, and I'm looking at the third period over 1.5 goals.
Actually, if there's Winnipeg, the first period lines, I'm going to look those up. The thing with the first period lines is some books will offer money line first period, and then there's also books that will offer minus 0.5,
right?
So minus half a goal, where you get a really good bang for your buck. I would take that chance that they're maybe up by a goal at the first intermission, and don't bet money line. Bet the minus 0.5 goals, which you can get apparently around plus 160 with that right now. On Winnipeg minus a half goal. So to be up by 1 or more after the first period, that would be the way I'd go if you like Winnipeg in the first period. Better price and worth the shot. You know, you're not playing for a tie. You're not betting Winnipeg first period thinking, oh, I just hope they tie in the first intermission. You want them to be ahead. So take that Winnipeg minus 0.5 plus 160 if you like that Winnipeg first period opinion.
Well, I got to ask you guys, what do you guys collectively think that the main reason throughout this entire series that Vegas had that extra jump on this Jets team? What's the one point that really pops into your head that's really standing out, that's separating this Vegas team? Besides, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury standing on his head. I mean, what's the breaking point for this Jets team, guys?
The issue is the two things. The better goaltending, clearly, that Fleury's had over Hellebuyck. That's one. And Winnipeg not finishing their chances, again, being too fine, too cute, looking for the perfect pass, perfect shot. And number 3 is the Winnipeg mistakes at bad areas of the ice. These little things that they do incorrectly, they're turning into big things because they're turning the puck over. Where? In the areas of the ice that kill you against this Vegas team. Neutral zone, blue lines, either their own blue line or the Vegas blue line. Either blue line, that's a bad spot to turn the puck over too. You look at Byfuglien. What led to that Riley Smith goal? It's unfortunate. That's not a turnover he meant to do, but it's just a tough time and a tough spot on the ice to fan on a point shot. He fans on the point shot, and next thing you know, he's trapped, and there's Riley Smith going down the left wing the other way, and perfect shot beats Hellebuyck, and there's your game and maybe your series. I mean, just those little things. It's just bad timing, a little bad luck there, but at the end of the day, that's still a turnover. Even though it wasn't, I didn't really throw the puck to Riley Smith, you still turned it over because you fanned on your point shot, and you gave the Riley Smith and the Golden Knights possession there. So it's just things like that Winnipeg's puck management. I'm telling you, it's the 2 big words that Winnipeg haven't respected enough in this series. Puck management. It's got to be better moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Ian. And to add to that as well, you look at just the simple fact of the speed of Vegas. We've talked about that all year long. It only adds to the fact that you can't make turnovers against a team that is this damn fast. There's no way that these defensemen are going to be able to come back on these 2-on-1 or breakaway situations. And really, I think fatigue also is a factor too. I thought that was going to be an issue. That's why I was on Vegas in Game 1. I thought that having that extra rest between series where the Jets did come off that Game 7, I thought that was going to be huge. But we've seen that happen down the stretch, and that's why I think the Jets are making these mistakes. Look at when Connor Hellebuyck came out and misplayed the puck a couple of times that led to some goals. It's just a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes that Winnipeg wasn't making during the regular season. And so fatigue has a lot to do with that, not just overall throughout the playoffs, but the fact that you're tired and playing a faster team and an ultimately fresher team based on how the schedule has played out.
Yeah, like I know we like talking about depth and this Winnipeg team and all they have to offer, but I think, as far as when I look at it from the outside perspective, guys, maybe I got to get a little more angry about this. Maybe I got to start saying, I mean, not just Vegas doing such a great job, but it's kind of making me think of my beloved Toronto Raptors right now. I mean, you look at DeMar DeRozan getting benched in the fourth quarter for back-to-back games when he played the Cavs. I mean, we need to have these big all-stars showing up to fucking play for this Jets team. I mean, this is an absolute elimination game. I mean, last game wasn't there. Game before that wasn't there. So that they're too pussy and too scared to play in Vegas. They're back home, right? This is it. I don't know if I can say that word on this show, but, this is the time, right? This is the opportunity. You're back at home. You should feel comfortable. This should be the biggest game of the season, possibly for most of them, their career so far. So the urgency level, it's not always the best way to cap, but as far as just a sports discussion topic at all, the urgency level should be at its absolute max. I mean, it's all about staying smart, making the right play for this Jets team. Paul Maurice has to have his best coaching game because this team mentally has to be focused. They have to be ready because whether we want to believe it or not, these are professional athletes that make millions of dollars. We can't say that they don't get mentally, kind of rattled and bugged by certain things happening, right? This is Vegas's first year in the league, and they are absolutely fucking teams up that nobody saw that coming. And everyone keeps talking about it. And you see in the chat box and everywhere on Twitter, you guys can probably say you see this as well. Everyone's like, oh, I'm sick and tired of hearing this. I hate hearing about this Vegas team. Why? I mean, we have to appreciate greatness. We have to appreciate what's happening. And if this Vegas team makes the Stanley Cup final, I don't care what anyone says. I'm Canadian cheering for the Jets. I do like the Jets. I've been following them, but that is absolutely great for our league. I've heard some people say it's bad for the league because they're an expansion team. No, it's great for the league because it proves how much a team game hockey is. You look at the Cavs right now in basketball or certain teams in the NHL even, they're self-reliant. They're so reliant on those set players. Why do you think Washington's not doing so well right now? Because all of a sudden their secondary scoring went away and they got to be so reliant on those top guns. This Vegas team does have some select couple players, but they're just a group of players that work together. They don't have that many all-stars, guys. I mean, we can all agree on that. They don't have too many absolute studs. If they go down and win the Stanley Cup final this year, Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be the man. I mean, he is playing better than he's ever played in Pittsburgh right now. He's making a point. He was on the bench when Matt Murray was holding down the Pittsburgh Penguins when they won the Stanley Cup, or when he was taking them through that playoff run. He was that secondary goalie. So looking at Marc-Andre Fleury now, we have to appreciate it. We have to respect it. But as far as this game goes tonight, this is the biggest game for Winnipeg. They have to be ready. They have to be able to make those plays. And if they can't, hats off to Vegas. And, they have to have that respect, and people have to appreciate it. There's no more luck. There's no more, it's just an expansion team. No one knows them anymore. I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing that. This team is very well coached, very well. Their defense is very underrated as well. But they collectively shut teams down, and we have to realize that. So, Alex, I saw you've been on some unders recently. You said you were on some unders, and I can't blame you. I mean, this team does a great job of reading their opposition, and the goaltending has been fantastic. So there's my rant for today, but got to appreciate Vegas, guys.
Oh yeah, don't worry about the wordage that you've used, Andrew. We established long ago here on the SBR platform, you can say anything anytime, so it's all good. Goal scoring props. Before we wrap it up here on this abbreviated Sunday show, I'll give you a couple props that I will be looking at. I will absolutely be looking at Mark Scheifele, plus 115 to score anytime. Maybe also a little sprinkle on him to score more than one goal, which he has been done on occasion, and that is plus 550 on that. So I'll do a little of both. Scheifele plus 115 to score anytime. Scheifele to score 2 or more goals plus 550. That's the only one I'll go multiple goal scorer on is Scheifele, because I believe he's got the best chance maybe to pop more than one goal in. I'll also look at Blake Wheeler plus 220 because he's the captain. To me, he's a big game player. And even though he didn't score in Game 7, he had a very good Game 7 against Nashville in the last round. I think he might dent the score sheet. Worth a shot there at plus 220. And Paul Stastny, of course, at plus 375 to score a goal. I have to, because he was huge in Game 7 against Nashville. Scored, 2 goals in Game 7 against the Predators last round. He was a big-time player and scored big goals in the last time Winnipeg was facing elimination in Game 7 against Nashville. So Stastny, you can get him plus 375 in that range to score a goal. We'll look at that. I got to throw one Vegas guy in there, of course, have to. I mean, it's not like Vegas is going to get shut out. You can't shut them out completely in terms of goal scoring, and they've been able to solve Hellebuck, but it's absolutely a no-brainer. You got to go with it because he's been scoring left and right. It doesn't matter, home or away, he's scored big goals. Got to go with Don Cherry's boy, John Masserole here. Jonathan Marchessault for the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 175. So that will be the one Vegas goal scorer that I take. Jonathan Marchessault at plus 175. James Neal's been more of a home ice goal scorer. I know he's getting plus 220, but a lot of his goals have come at T-Mobile Arena. He hasn't scored quite as many on the road, so I'll just go with Marchessault to score for Vegas here on their side for the Golden Knights perspective at a pretty good price for a guy that just seems to find scoring chances and goals in a lot of games right now. You can get plus 175 on a guy like Marchessault to score. That's not a bad price whatsoever on that. So those are some of the goal scoring props that I'll be looking at. Before we wrap it up, any last thoughts, Alex or Andrew? Alex, any last comments?
Well, just going back briefly with what Andrew said about, people, I've been hearing, especially around here in Minnesota, a lot of people kind of bitching about, Vegas expansion team, winning the cup and, how all these guys weren't wanted. And that's completely not the case. I mean, it wasn't that these guys weren't wanted by their team. These were, formidable, serviceable players and starters and stars, especially start talking about James Neal and Marc-Andre Fleury, that end up making up this team. And it's excellent for the league because let's look at it, from a whole standpoint. All right. Teams like the Hawks and Montreal, Detroit, New York Rangers, the Blue Bloods, the original 6 teams, they're not going to be around and winning for quite a while right now. They're all in rebuilding stages. So the young, fresh teams, the Tampa Bays, the Vegases of the world, hopefully we'll see some of these other clubs that have kind of been in the middle of the road. Maybe Toronto, finally makes it a deal over the hump. Those teams need to come back and we see some rotation and the rhythm throughout the league. So it's an awesome thing. And now you got a team that, if they win it, it's 30 other teams that are going to, have their eyes set with Vegas having the target on their back if they win the cup.
Yeah, one last thing I want to quickly note in terms of betting this game, third period over that Andrew mentioned, I will be betting that for sure for 2 situations, 2 stipulations. One, if the game's tied going into the third, because Winnipeg's going to have to push, or if Vegas has the lead going into the third. I will absolutely be looking at a third period over in that situation, because if they're tied or behind Winnipeg, they got to go for it. Can't sit back. Got to go after it. No tomorrow. Your season's done if you lose this game. So over third period for me if the game is tied or Vegas has the lead. That's the stipulations I'll need to bet that third period over. And if I get that, I will be betting it. All right, Andrew, last comments.
Well, as far as that goes, Ian, let's hope they don't pull an LA Kings and wait till there's about 58 seconds left to pull the goalie. Hopefully we can get an empty netter or something like that. But yeah, I just want to follow up to what you said start the show, Ian. I mean, we all do our best to provide information, to give our opinions, and just have some fun for all of you viewers and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, you can't force a pick. You can't force a play. You got to look around. You got to find the best bet for you, the best play. I'm really happy to hear what that play that Alex found with the Marc-Andre Fleury saves, and that's what you got to do. I mean, you don't need to get too fancy with it all the time, but that's why we love the regular season sometimes, because there's so many games to choose from. But we also love the playoffs because you can kind of narrow down and it's your time to show your opinion. So tonight's the night, and this Jets team has to come out with some urgency. So if there was ever a game for me to honestly recommend live betting, and I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are too much on live betting, but if there was ever a game that you could look at some live betting, really just measure out what you see this game shaping up in the first period. Maybe we'll even tweet something off the Ice Guys Twitter handle. Who knows? And we'll give our opinions. But if there was ever a game to have a live bet tweeted out, or for you to look at one for the second period over, under, third period, this is definitely the game.
Yeah, I mean, I do more and more live betting for sure, and intermission betting later in the playoffs, conference finals, certainly in the Stanley Cup Finals. I'll be doing a lot more of that, seeing the game flow more than getting involved pregame as the later rounds get. So totally agree with that sentiment. There'll probably better and more opportunities, and maybe even more positive expectation opportunities with live wagering, in-game wagering this time of the playoffs compared to pre-game wagering, without a doubt. Great show. I mean, that was good. That was good discussion. We hit a bunch of things, props, period betting, different things you can look at. A great prop by Alex too about Marc-Andre Fleury over the number of saves. That's definitely something I'm going to be hopping on too, because I think he's going to be busy, win or lose. Winnipeg today. I think he's going to be busy once again in net, Marc-Andre Fleury, and have to make a ton of saves to try to help his team close it out and win the Clarence Campbell Trophy and advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. Oh boy, the horror that would be up in the Great White North with that whiteout if Vegas is posing with the Clarence Campbell Trophy there at the end of this game today. But it's a possibility. We need to see Winnipeg step it up if they're going to avoid it. All right, guys, great show. We'll be back tomorrow, Monday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, with our next edition of the SBR NHL Ice Guys. We'll break down Washington Tampa Bay Game 6, do or die for the Capitals, who have seen a 2-0 lead in the series slip away. Tampa Bay now up 3-2 in the series. And if there's a Game 6 back at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas on Tuesday, we'll also talk about that game tomorrow on the Monday edition of the Ice Guys. For Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy Game 5, Winnipeg-Vegas this afternoon. The puck drops in an hour. Enjoy the game. We'll see you again on Monday.